Hey everyone, it's Brett from Hope to Prosper, and I'm here at the trailhead of Mount Baden-Powell. I know I promised you I was going to hike Mount Wilson, but trail's closed because of the Eaton fire. So we decided to hike Baden-Powell instead, and bringing you guys along with me. So hope you enjoy it. Oh, today's subject: why I traded $1.5 million for 9 years of my life. I think you'll enjoy it. All right, talk to you soon. So today I want to talk about how much it cost me to retire early and why I think it was a fantastic bargain. I calculated up that it will cost me around $1.5 million for 9 years of freedom from wage slavery, or employment as most of us call it. So way back when I was first planning for my freedom about 20 years ago, I think it was 2007 or 2008, when I wrote my I Have a Dream post on my blog. I didn't give much thought to how much money it would cost or how much I'd be leaving on the table by leaving the workplace early. That never even crossed my mind. I just instinctively knew I needed to get away, I needed to get out of the rat race, and that my life was precious, and it was slowly passing me by while I was trapped in a desk all day. So first, let's talk about the opportunity cost and how I calculated what would be my potential financial loss. So this is a trade-off. There's opportunity cost from leaving the workplace early. And so at my last job, I made about $150,000 a year. I made $135,000 in salary and $15,000 in bonus. And the job that I walked away from, they wouldn't pay me as much. I think they offered me like $132,000. But with raises and all that stuff, I was making about $150,000 a year, which was good money at the time. I had a good tech job. And of that, I was saving about $45,000 per year. Kids had moved out, house was paid off. I was saving almost half of my net after taxes and stuff. Out of $150,000, especially when you get a bonus, you're going to pay like 40 some odd in taxes. And so I was saving $45,000 a year in my IRA, 401k, Roth, all that stuff, brokerage account. So now instead, I'm spending $65,000 a year right out of my investments. I don't have a pension, I don't have real estate, I don't have I don't have Social Security yet. So I'm spending $65,000 a year out of my portfolio. Good news is it's still going up, so I'm happy about that. So that's a difference of $110,000 per year. So it's a big swing. I would be getting ahead $45,000 a year, and now I'm going behind $65,000 a year. So over 9 years, that's a difference of $990,000, or just under $1 million. And off the top of my head, that's what I used to calculate it as. I gave up $1 million. But in reality, I did a future value calculation, and at about a 10% interest rate, I'm giving up just under $1.5 million. So that's an interesting thing. It's something I hadn't thought about or calculated up, but those are the real numbers, or at least the estimated numbers. Okay, second, let's talk about the time value of money and what I've gained by leaving early. So the question I had was, would I rather have $1 million at 58 or $2.5 million at 67? And that's a pretty tough question. That's a lot of money to be giving up, especially at that age in my life. And so first, when you think about the time value of money, and I got this kind of concept from the book Die With Zero, and there are other books that talk about this too, but money is worth way more in your 50s and 60s than it is in your 80s. If you have $3 million in your 80s, you're not going to be able to do the kind of things you can do with $1 million in your 50s and 60s. Some of the things I'm doing, like this hike I'm on, it was like 26,000 steps. You're not going to be doing that in your 80s. And if I waited until full retirement age at 67, I wouldn't be able to do those things. Hike, maybe surf, riding dirt bikes. My uncles, they were dirt biking legends. Both of them had to stop riding right at 70. One just couldn't kick his foot over the he had a hip problem. He couldn't kick his leg over the bike, and the other one crashed. So waiting till 67 seemed like a mistake to me. So 1 million in my 50s, it's probably going to be like, I don't know, 3 to 5 million in my 80s, the way things are going with my portfolio and all that. And to be honest,
we're on the way to Lamel Spring, baby.
All right, that's money I probably won't even need at that point. So I think taking the money early, living on the money early, and then enjoying it early and having the time, I consider that a great value. And Bill Perkins, I saw an interview with him the other day. He's the author of Die with Zero. He even said it might be worth taking a loan out to enjoy your 50s and 60s and paying it back in your 70s or 80s. He thought that was a valid strategy. So, and I'm not going to argue with it. I wouldn't do that, but it's something to think about. The time value of money is a very important concept. And if you throw out the time value, and when you do all these calculations, then you might end up on the losing end of it. Okay, so third, let's talk about potential opportunities of having time freedom. And this isn't something I thought about a lot. I was just literally just trying to figure out how I was going to afford to live without a paycheck. But let's talk about potential opportunities. So when I first semi-retired, I didn't retire. I was going to semi-retire. And I fully planned to pursue other opportunities. I was going to do some project work, or I was going to do some part-time, or I was going to I looked into starting a business. I looked into buying a business. I even thought, this is funny, I even thought about buying a laundromat, a local laundromat. And then I started to realize after I had retired for a little while, I didn't want to get up every morning and sweep out a laundromat and empty all the coin things. Even if I could have made good money at it, that was a hassle I didn't want. So I've since decided, after I was retired a couple months, it became crystal clear that my free time was way more valuable than the money I could have made on a side gig. So I'm no longer semi-retired. I'm fully retired. And now I'm just an investor. And that's what I'm doing. So part of the reason I changed my mind is that, to be honest, I'm making as much money as an investor, sometimes more, than when I worked. And that's kind of a crazy thought. I wrote a blog post about this about 4 or 5 years ago when I had a really good year in the market. And I thought, man, if I could do this reliably, why would I just go to work? I'm doing better as an investor than I was as an employee. So the employee mindset, it's an economic peril. You think about, like, I was terrified of my paycheck stopping. Like, you think about, oh my God, if I don't have a paycheck, I'm going to die. It's like oxygen or something. When in reality, once you accumulate a certain amount of money, the paycheck is less critical. What becomes more important is your return on your investments and your cash flow. So the investor and entrepreneurial mindset, on the other hand, it's about opportunities. The opportunities you're giving up while you're trapped in a desk and you're obligated to an employer. My whole career, I always had side gigs. I wrote technical manuals. I did consulting. I did programming. I put together websites, and I always made money on the side. But I always had a really hardcore day job and then night school for college, and I never had the time to really go out on my own. Thinking like an investor and an entrepreneur, that's something to think about as you retire, is that if your cash flow isn't getting it, there are always things you can do to make up for it. And, I've worked since I was 16 years old, and I used to ride a BMX bike to work, and then I would dig holes all day for $3 an hour. And so I've had a paycheck since 1980, and it was kind of terrifying to leave the workforce and see but once I saw what it was like without the shackles of employment, boy, my whole mindset shifted. I had a really tough couple months, and then all of a sudden I realized, wait a minute, everything's going to work out. I'm going to be fine. I don't need this paycheck. It comes with too many burdens, to be honest, too many hassles and problems. So even when I was first retired, I was terrified of living without a paycheck, and then I overcame it. So when I retired, I was at the height of my career, and I made the most money I'd ever made. And I thought, just my income would drop off a cliff when I left, but that hasn't been the case. I was wrong. I've done way better than I expected, and I still have Social Security coming up in 5 years. I mean, worst case scenario, say the market just totally crashed, I could take early Social Security next year, and I would be just fine. So thanks for listening to that. Let's wrap this up. Let's make it a shorter one. The bottom line is that life's a series of trade-offs. In employment, it's one of the biggest trade-offs I can think of. Deciding when to retire, it's a tough decision, and it depends a lot on everyone's circumstances, both financial and personal, and health. My advice to everyone's always the same. If you can afford to retire comfortably right now, then just go for it. I can't even think of a worse bargain than spending your very precious remaining time trading it for more money that you may never need or may never even get to spend. So that's my advice to everyone. Okay, we're back down safe and sound in one piece, and had an awesome hike. It was a lot nicer than Baldy. I feel a lot better. I feel strong. Went hiking with my buddy John and my brother Chet, and Mount Baden-Powell, man. If you've never done it and you live in this area, you got to do it. Okay, so thanks for coming along. Next big adventure, I'm headed off on the Great Lakes tour on Monday, and I'm going to go to about 8 states, Canada, 2 national parks, 2 halls of fame, and most important, I'm going to meet up with Buzz from Buzz's Retirement Garage, and we're going to hang out. All right, so it'll be a while to my next video, but I'll be at the Great Lakes. All right, thanks for coming along, and I wish you all health, happiness, and prosperity in your lives.